Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to the Divine Lux Soul podcast. I'm Al, your host and your guide today, on a subject that I've been sitting on probably since about December of last year. I was actually going to premiere episode two, Renatus, with this, but as with anything, divine timing always takes precedence. It is the law of this universe. So, other things we had to talk about before we got to this and before I was able to talk to you guys, chat with you guys, and share with you guys this information, um, which we're about to get into. So, just want to say welcome back, guys. It's been 2 weeks. I've been busy with different projects, and they took priority in my life. This show still takes priority, but there were other things going on that I can't really talk about just yet, or I don't want to talk about just yet. I will eventually, but not right now. They're just works projects in the background that I'm working on, which will come into fruition or come into light very soon. But with that being said, guys, welcome back to the Divine Lux Soul. We are on episode 19. I can't believe it. Um, I'm just still amazed that the show is still going strong, and I have so much creation going on in my mind that is coming out into physical reality. So I'm really proud of myself that this keeps happening, and I'm sharing more and more of myself with you guys, which means we're going deeper into myself, and hopefully it's encouraging you guys to go deeper within yourselves as you listen to my episodes. So with anything, guys, this is an offering of what I am about to talk about today. You can choose to listen to it. You can choose not to listen to it. Hopefully, something does resonate with you today on the episode. And let's see what else. Click subscribe, like. If you like this video, like it, hit the thumbs up. You can subscribe too. That's always a great thing to do to let me know that you guys are liking what we're talking about today. And today, this is episode 19, which is titled Nada. And today's show is all about sound. It's about the pulse of life. Nada, I know it sounds very similar to nada in Espanol or Spanish, but nada is a Sanskrit word for sound or noise. That's what nada really means. That's what the root word of it really means. That's where it comes from. And you're probably wondering, why are we talking about sound? And I'm about to share with you guys what sound really is. So, nada, that's noise, sound in Indian Sanskrit. And we're about to jump right into it. So, sound. Let's start with the creation of sound. That's part of it. That's the pranayama. That's the heat. Now we're going to get into the sound. Om. That is a primordial sound that created this whole entire universe. We talked about this in my previous episode when we were talking about the creation of this whole universe. And if you guys I don't know if you guys noticed it, but Om, the way we say it is only two words, but when you sound it out, Om is actually a three-part word. It's the A, it's the U, it's the M, which represents the power of three, which goes back to our IM 369 episode. Everything comes in threes. And this is why the Om chant is a powerful uh, tone, a powerful sound, is because it does three different things. And those three different things are, especially in the Indian religions and texts, The A is the Brahma, it's the creator, it's the heat. As you guys just saw me do when I was breathing in the life force of pranayama, I was building the heat of creation. That's what that was about. And then the U is Vishnu, represents Vishnu, the god of preserving, the preservation. So you start with the A, the A, and then the Ah. That is where you guys get the long sound. And then the M represents Shiva, the destroyer. So this is where the Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva deities come into play when we talk about Om and creation. So this is what I really wanted to talk about, but now we can really do more of a deep journey into the primordial sound of Om and how creation was really started. And I always offer to you guys, if you don't subscribe to the Indian text, the Vedas, Sanskrit, I always bring it into the biblical traditions. And even in the biblical traditions, it says, in the beginning was the Word of God was with God, and the Word was God. And that came from the book of John. I just wanted to put that out there for you guys as well. And then another thing I want to introduce to you guys is another Hermetic philosophy that has kind of been infused into my world, about how sound really um, percolates through everything. And this comes from Egyptian text. It says, everything moves, nothing rests, everything vibrates. And this is from the Kai Balion. And I talked about this before, way back in season 1, but now we're bringing it back or infusing it back into the show's content today, and why the Kai Balion is such a um, crucial text to talk about, or such an important text to throw in there, because it's literally the keys of life. Everything moves, sound moves, everything moves, nothing rests, everything vibrates. And if you guys don't know what the Hermetic teachings are, that is teachings that were pulled from the Emerald Tablets in Egypt, or the land of Kem. That is what Egypt was called before the Greeks came down there. And if you guys don't know what the Emerald Tablets are, it's the keys of life that were written by Thoth, which is the god of knowledge. And he was known as the god of knowledge to the Egyptians, or the sons of Kem. But when he showed up, or before he came to land of Kem, he was actually a son of Atlantis. And he came to Egypt to teach them all the keys of life from the city of Atlantis before it was destroyed and flooded out. So this is where the Hermetic teachings came from. And he was also known as, I forgot to tell you guys this. So he was known as Thoth to the Egyptians, but he was known as Hermes Trismegistus, which is the great 3 times born. So this is where a lot of these keys of life really started. Once we start really journeying into sound, you guys are going to see, or hopefully you're going to notice, how these Hermetic teachings runs through everything. It runs through the modern day religions. It runs in our philosophy. It runs in our mathematics. It runs in our geometries. These keys of life that Thoth, Hermes Trismegistus gave the Egyptians a long time ago, it really just runs through everything. It's hidden within everything. And people don't even realize that they are using these keys of life, but they are. And then like I said, I'm going to keep sharing with you guys about these teachings and why they're so important to all of us. So, what are these ancient teachings saying, guys? Hopefully, these 3 ancient traditions of the Indians, Judea Mediterranean culture, and then, like I said, the Egyptian Chem culture, philosophy, hopefully it teaches and brings awareness to sound, vibrations, frequency, and hertz. Plays a crucial role in everything that we do. in every plane of existence. And every plane of existence is physical, this physical verse, the mental verse that's inside of here, and then the ethereal, which is the vibrations that we can't see. Our human eyes and ears can only perceive so much. There is the ethereal, that stuff that we cannot see. That's all around us all the time, existing. We just don't see it or perceive it. But like I said in my last episode, through practice, can we start perceiving these different ethereal frequencies and visions and sights? And I also want to say too, guys, sound also ripples through time, dimensions, and portals. And another Hermetic teaching that I want to put into this episode is as above, so below, so within, so without. And that's, like I said, another Hermetic teaching philosophy that governs everything that we do. And with this being said, guys, like I mentioned in previously in the episode, this is just an offering to those who have an open heart and an open mind. Um, these are my thoughts surrounding the flowing stream of consciousness, the pulse of life, and that pulse of consciousness. I'm sorry, that flowing stream of consciousness, that pulse of life is sound. Sound drives everything. Sound is in everything. And this is what we are talking about today. We are talking about frequencies, vibrations, sound, and emotion rules this universe. It transcends different dimensions. It ripples through portals. And I just want to share with you guys the revelation that I had last year and more so this year of why I want to talk about sound. And we're going to continue on with sound. Let's start off with sound is all around us. Become aware of sound. Sound pulses just like our blood pulses through our bodies. The human heart actually starts vibrating and pulsing way before the brain ever develops. I'm going to say that one more time, guys. The human heart starts vibrating and pulsing way before the brain develops. The boom of your heart keeps the steady flow of blood moving through your physical instrument, through your whole entire life. Your heart is steadily beating and moving, vibrating and emitting frequency. This is the real pranayama, the real heat, the real life force of your physical vessel is your heart. And I also want to say, with another note to this, guys, as as you're listening to me, maybe take a pause or maybe just continue to listen as I talk to you guys. But I want you guys to notice and bring awareness to yourself, to what I'm talking about with your heart. So maybe sit up tall like I'm doing, close your eyes, lower your eyes to a fixture point on the floor or the earth, and just still the mind. Take some deep breaths in and out, and then just notice not only your own breath, cadence, and sound, but also start to drop into your heart and start listening to how it sounds, what it's doing for you, and just bringing awareness to your inner vibrations. This is how you guys start waking up to your inner vibrations. That's why meditation is such an important thing within this human experience here. Is when you start to quiet this, now you can start sensing your breath. You can start sensing your heart. You can start sensing how your blood, how it sounds as it circulates through your body. These are all things that meditation brings about. It brings about more than just mental clarity. It brings about an appreciation for what this really is, the gift that we really have in this physical world. So I encourage you guys to do that as I'm talking to you today. Just once again, take a pause, continue to listen to me. If you have some advanced meditation going on in your practice, listen to yourself, listen to your body, and I guarantee you guys will start really appreciating what you have, and you'll start treating it better. So yeah, listen to your heart, guys. Feel how it vibrates out of you. Um, we're going to continue on with the heart because I have more to say about it. And then also, as you guys are listening to yourselves, maybe you start to bring awareness to the outside nada. You start bringing yourself awareness to the outside noise. And what that sounds like is very different from the quiet serenity of yourself compared to what's going on out there. And we're going to talk more about this outside world in a little bit. So I want to also say to you guys, maybe after listening to the sound of your heart and the external sounds of the outside world, um, and even ethereal sounds that our ears and our bodies cannot sense, um, maybe we can start to logically conclude that when you start thinking about yourself, start thinking about the outside world and the ethereal world, we can logically start to say sound has never left us. Sound and vibration created this physical dimension. Sound and vibration of your heart created you. Sound is even on the other side, meaning outside of this physical verse, there's actually a spiritual world, and I can confirm that their sound ripples through everything. You can still hear on the other side. It's not like it doesn't leave you, or when you cross over, you're now suddenly deaf. It doesn't work that way. You can still hear on the other side. There's still frequency and vibration that we perceive, which means sound never leaves you. Even after you guys drop this physical costume of a body, you are still going to perceive sound, frequency, and vibrations on the other side. And this is the awareness I wanted to share with you guys is sound never leaves us. It's always going to be with us. So that being said, to close out this introduction section, I want to quote from a really brilliant mind. And I heard this on the Testament of Moses when I was watching it a few months ago too, last year. And then I rewatched it just for this content for this video today. And when I looked it up, because I originally thought it was a Bible verse, but it wasn't. It was actually a quote from a really good poet. But the quote says, "If the sun or moon were to doubt, they would immediately go out." I'm going to say that one more time because that was a huge revelation for me. If the sun or moon were to doubt, meaning if it were to ever stop uh, believing in its existence, they would immediately go out, meaning they would cease to exist. And that came from William Blake from 1903, meaning that sound is the steady flow of consciousness. Without consciousness or awareness, the flow of the vibration will stop. The conscious energy leaves. Just like when our soul leaves this body will no longer animate. And what that quote was saying was when these objects, if these objects were to stop consciously producing a sound, they would consciously lose their awareness and they would go out, which means everything in this universe has a consciousness about itself. And this is the revelation I had when I was going along with my awakening experience was this is the true connection to why we are all connected to one another. Not only humans, but we're connected to plants, animals, the stars, the planets, everything because it has a singular consciousness about itself. It vibrates something. Your heart vibrates frequency. Your mind vibrates frequency. My throat chakra, as I'm talking to you guys, produces a frequency. So that's why I had to put that quote in there so it can make sense to you guys on how the steady flow of sound, steady flow of consciousness comes from an object. It means that it's conscious, it's aware of itself. And your soul is the same way, guys. It's aware of itself all the time, living inside of you. And also the life force that drives this heart, drives your mind, drives your whole entire body. And let's continue on. So, yeah, the frequency of the physical body ceases to animate too. So, like I said, guys, once your soul leaves, it takes its vibration with it, and without that vibration, the body is no longer in animation. I forgot to add that in there. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, moving on to let's do part one, the body of this whole thing. Let's break down what vibrations or vibes. People say that today. That's really what it is. Hertz and frequencies are. And I'm going to start with some working definitions of what that is. Let's start with a hertz. Hertz is typically measured in cycles per second. A frequency is perceived as a wave or electromagnetic consciousness, what we were just talking about. So I'm going to say frequency one more time is perceived as a wave of consciousness. A vibration is the rate of an object or molecule that oscillates, vibrates, which is more awareness. So the way they do vibration is when a vibration comes through, they test to see how that object or let's say molecular cell or atom reacts to that sound wave. That's how they get vibrations or vibes. And this is how our body perceives it. Our electrons, atoms, and neutrons, they're all working hard every day as we receive vibrations from the outside world, even from the inside world too. And these are what those little cells in our bodies are really doing in there. They're doing a lot of perceiving, receiving, and perceiving all at the same time for us. It's working very hard every day. So that's what I mean by appreciating your body a little more, guys, is once you understand what's happening on a molecular, spiritual, uh, sound wave, what's really going on every day, you start appreciating what this is. You start appreciating yourself for animating all of this. And let's just go to the soul within, the Hermetic teachings, and I'm going to explain how the soul within, um, from that saying, soul within, soul without, this is within your mind and everything I'm just pointing to goes down. That is the soul within. Let's just talk about it. Like I just mentioned, the human body is made up of atoms and molecules. That's number one. Our bodies are 50 to 90% water. And this goes back to my episode 3 of the hidden messages of water. And I'll break it down one more time about water fun facts. Older adults between 60 and higher, about 50% water. Those of us, most of our adult lives, we are at 70% water. Babies, when they first come out of their womb or their mother, they're about 90% water. And then the fetus is completely 99% water. So, like I said in that episode, water doesn't leave us. Water is inside of us our whole entire existence because it vibrates, it perceives. This is how this whole vessel really works. It has to have water so it can vibrate. And the way the water breakdown is two hydrogen to one oxygen molecule. So this is the molecular structure of what's really inside of us is two hydrogen plus one oxygen, which comes from the oxygen comes from our pranayama. That's the life force that we breathe in through our lungs. So once again, guys, the water that exists within us is really animated because of the oxygen that we draw in from our lungs, from our nose into our lungs, and then it gets reciprocated back out. So that's why I mean, guys, by our vessels do a lot of stuff for us that we may or may not be aware of, but we're making it aware of today. That's what we're doing, making you guys more evolved, vibrating humans. With that being said, guys, sound frequencies, hertz, and vibrations interact with our vessels 24/7. Meaning, even when you're asleep, your body is perceiving and receiving vibrations from the cosmos, the outside world, the inside world. Your body is constantly emitting and receiving vibrations. And I want to just put that out there for you guys once again to appreciate what you have, appreciate this gift. It's amazing what it does. Also want to add to this, guys, is vibrations can be healing slash beneficial to the body, or a vibration or a frequency can be harmful to our vessel. Meaning, every physical thing has a frequency of awareness, of consciousness about itself, and that includes our own body, has an awareness about itself. And we're going to continue on with the soul within the human body vibe. Let's do that. The human body, typically at rest, vibrates between 5 to 7 hertz. If you guys remember from my definition of a hertz is measured in cycles per second. So cycles per second, the human body is 5 to 7 hertz. And then our brain waves, let's get into that because I didn't talk about that yet. The delta brainwave, which is like deep sleep or the raw consciousness, that's between 0.5 to 4 hertz. And then the theta, it goes a little higher. We go into 4 to 7.5 hertz, which is REM sleep, dream cycles. Alpha, 7.5 to 12.5 hertz. That's the flow state. That is the flow state where you guys are downloading and transferring information from your conscious awakening mind to your subconscious uh, mind. That's deeper into yourself. Beta, depending on where we're at with beta. Beta is our conscious mind. Beta is our awakening mind. That is between 12.5 to 30 hertz. Like I said, depending on how high those vibrations are. And beta is mainly just the fight or flight, as they call it, brainwaves. So that's why it can be a little chaotic, depending on where you're at, your stress levels or your cortisol levels throughout the day. So this is where the mastery of your brainwaves comes into play. Is depending on how you can master your emotions, master your thoughts. It's going to change your vibration up here. It's going to change your vibration here, and you're going to emit an aura. That's just how you guys. Well, I feel we build our auras is through mastery of our brainwaves. And think of the beta as the overdrive gear of a vehicle or of a vessel. That's your overdrive. And then your gamma is the highest one that we run into. Gamma functions between 30 to 100 hertz, which is the transcendental state or higher states of consciousness, or think of the crown chakra. This is where we start getting perceiving the spiritual world. This is the gamma. This is why gamma is such a heat building wave, is because we can start perceiving things outside of our human bodies and tap into our higher consciousness, our cells, our true selves, our white cells. And it builds a lot of heat within us too. So this is the transcendental states that people can get into. So that is a breakdown of what is inside of the human body. So within, you're probably wondering, Al, what does this all mean? And I would say, what does this all mean? That's question number one. Question number two is, Al, what does this have to do with me? And I would say the first answer is bring your awareness to sound. That's really what I want to encourage you guys to go forth with this episode. Is after listening to this, hopefully that you will have an awareness of sound within yourself. That is the main thing. And sound is consciousness. I want to tell you guys that too. And I also like to say, with the answer to question two, is sound is a form of energy. It's a wave. If you guys ever watched like a documentary before, sound is really in a wave. And depending on what wave it is, it produces a different perception, a different vibration that we perceive. That's why people always say don't stand too close to a microwave, because it's little microwave. That's what it means. It's a little micro short wave that you perceive, and it's not good for the body. Cell phones are another uh, device that has short little waves that are conducive to our bodies. So think about that as what I mean, guys, by being aware of things, being aware of objects. you can start to, how do I say this, filter and become aware of what is in contact, coming in contact with your own body, with your own vessel. That's what I'm trying to say with this is just bringing in awareness of energy, bringing in awareness that that a frequency is energy, a frequency is consciousness. It goes hand in hand. AI technology, natural, physical world, it all gets perceived by our bodies. And I'll continue on. I also want to say this too, guys. Like I was just bitching with the microwave. These these waves of energy travels through air, water, and solids like our bodies, which is everything that is within us. This is what I mean by so within, so without. We are air, we are water, we are solid in some cases, depending on how our cells stack. And I also want to say this too, guys. These energy waves also goes through portals and dimensions. So that wraps up the so within. Let's get to the so without. That is everything that I'm pointing to right now. This is all the so without. The so without, that is the outside world. If you guys have never paid attention to before, Earth normally resonates at 7.83. But as we saw with the, excuse me, two planetary alignments, we had a solar eclipse. We also had a blood moon. We are, and this is a transformative year or transmutation year in numerology of 9, meaning the Earth's Schumann resonance is changing currently. We don't know where it's going to land, but what we do know is that it's changing. So right now it's at 7.83 or higher, but we're going to see what it lands, which means when Earth vibration or consciousness changes, it's going to change the consciousness on this planet. And this is where we are finding the 5-dimensional consciousness awakening. So this is hopefully a deeper dive into how this really begins, how this really is perceived. Is if consciousness is if sound, not if, sound is an energy wave. Once the frequency changes, it changes the frequency within everything that's inhabiting that space, inhabiting the planet. And this is how this really goes down. And then also, I can go on about Earth for a long time, but I'm not. The sun. This is why the sun is very important. It emits a consciousness at 126.22. And then the moon that's out there orbiting our Earth emits a consciousness of 210.42. So this is why these two objects, because they're in our solar system and it does affect the Earth, it changes the Earth's vibration. It changes its Earth's own consciousness. So that's why I had to put those two objects in there to remind you guys that they do emit a consciousness on this planet. I mean, through space and time, and we perceive that as well. The reason why when there's a full moon, the tides change on this planet. If the water around the planet moves with the moon, and then the energy from the sun, depending on its solar flares, it can interrupt what's going on down here or not. So this is hopefully tying in, connecting the dots to all of you guys, or bring awareness to what we're talking about here. That consciousness is energy. It's a wave of energy. Everything is conscious. Everything is active. Everything is reactive, meaning we receive signals. And normally, guys, receiving is a feminine energy. And I do not want you guys to get that confused with a woman. That man created all that stuff. That does not exist. But in spirituality, in Hermetic philosophy, everything has a feminine and a masculine side. So I'm gonna say that one more time so it won't confuse you guys. Receiving signals is a feminine, um, let's say, frequency, and then projecting signals is a more of a masculine. So that's what I mean by just like I described with the sun. The sun is seen as a masculine because it's always emitting, it's pushing things out. And the moon is always seen as a softer. I'm sorry, the moon is always seen as the receiving feminine energy, meaning that uh, it's receiving the sun's light, and once the light hits the moon, it bounces off, and we see it as white. But the moon is actually a different color. But because of the sun's intensity, it's seen to us as white. We perceive it as a white color. So that's what I mean, guys, by bringing awareness to your cosmos, bringing awareness to your outside world. Is once you start understanding everything from the inside, now you can start understanding and perceiving your outside world a lot better, a lot differently, and move through space and time, knowing about your own consciousness, knowing about other objects' consciousness, and you can start living in harmony with everything. And this is how I feel um, we should go about our lives and rethink how we go about uh, treating ourselves and treating other things within this universe. Is we're all conscious, we're all emitting a vibration, we're all emitting an energy, and it's all connected. And that's what I want to tell you guys. And this whole matrix that tries to tell us or teach us that we're all separated and we're all different, we're really not. There's a few variations, but when you get down to the nitty gritty, guys, what I'm just explaining to all of you is really how we perceive things. Okay, continue on. Okay, so you guys probably have some questions. Oh, I have some questions. Have you ever been around people or a person or a group of people and you're just like, I feel the vibe is off? Um, or when someone comes around you, you're just like, this is just, you're bringing a different aura, you're bringing a different vibe. Hopefully, guys, by explaining the brainwave function, explaining your heart function, hopefully that would break down on how this is like such an important thing to perceive. Is when people bring about different negative brainwaves, different heart emotions around you, you're going to automatically feel it. Now, some people are not awake, and being awoke is not a bad thing. Awakening is just being, it's just being aware of the perceiving or the receiving of energy. Once you know what an energy or a vibration is, now you're aware of it, and now you can really start tapping into it and feeling it. This is awakening the body. This is awakening your consciousness. That's what I wanted to put out to you guys there, and hopefully you can also, like I said, actualize that your physical body is not. I can't believe I wrote this, but I did. Now that you guys understand that your vessel is a receiver and a projecting transmitter, hopefully you guys can actualize that you were not created to enter a beauty contest your whole entire life. What do I mean by that, guys? I mean by that is focusing on your physical body your whole entire life, meaning your hair has to be perfect, your body has to be perfect. You must get Botox to freeze your face in time. You must get plastic surgery so you can, look more physically attractive to someone else, whether it be chest, stomach. People are getting butt implants, these BBLs. I'm here to tell you guys this, guys. This is not what your body is for. Yes, being beautiful is wonderful. those of us who were, gifted with, beauty, attractiveness, that is wonderful, to have, but it's an experience. You have the experience and you move on to something else. And that's what I want you guys to take away from this episode is harming yourself with these chemicals, harming yourselves with these different creams, harming yourselves with injections, meaning you guys don't understand. Maybe some of you guys don't understand. When you're shooting your skin with, let's say, Botox or any other filler, it's just not staying here. It processes through your whole entire body. It processes through your whole entire molecular, um, what's it called, level. And what those things can do, guys, is it's not only freezing your skin, but it's also freezing maybe some of your cells, or it's taking them or keeping them at a different vibration. So this stuff just does, I feel like it does more than just what they program us to do. It's taking your vessel on a whole entire different journey that it probably does not need to be on. Those things are very toxic to the body. Um, it's foreign to the body. The body rejects it. If you guys have ever had plastic surgery before, some of your guys' bodies may not even like it. Now you have to go back and spend more money to get that stuff taken out. So that's what I mean, guys, by I want you guys to realize that you're not here for physical beauty. You're here for a lot more than that. And am I saying to deter you guys from doing these different procedures? It's up to you. Like I always encourage you guys to do on this Divine Lux journey is you are the co-creator. You can start making decisions for yourself. I would suggest you guys not get these procedures done. But if you must get them done, guys, ask your doctors everything about it. If they can't give you the answer that you're looking for, guys, just don't do the procedure. I'm just going to say caution on the side of safety over trying to look hot. Just go to the gym. That's my best answer. To maintain a healthy body, guys, it really comes from the inside. A good regimen of vitamins, a good healthy regimen of physical activity, like we talked about in the hidden messages of water. When you stop moving, your body starts to decay and die. So once again, guys, move, have a good vitamin regimen. I love liquid vitamins. I take those every day. So once again, guys, beauty comes from the inside. That's what people say beauty. Beauty is an inside thing because once you start changing let me start with this first. Start emitting a different vibration, different emotion from your heart. Your heart communicates to the mind. The mind starts changing and manufacturing these emotions and ideas. And your inner beauty is going to start changing on a molecular level. It won't be so outside. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys about how inner beauty really does work. You have to start with emotion. You have to start with a thought for your body to start physically changing. And once again, guys, you start to actualize that our vessel is constantly moving. It's fluid, is a communicative, meaning it's perceiving, receiving, and talking to a lot of things that we can't see. I also want to say this too, guys, that your vessel or your instrument is a big radio receiver, meaning that it's like this magnet of a radio receiver. If you guys ever seen like a radio tower before, it's like this huge antenna up there. That's our body, that's our vessel. And then it's also a beacon of a transmitter, meaning that, it beats, the transmissions come from our heart, our transmissions come from our brain activity. These are all real things, guys. The reason why I said, we're a big radio receiver, and then we're also a beacon transmitter, meaning we're putting things out into the field all the time. and we are receiving things from the field all the time. And this is just a simple law of attraction. That's what I mean by so within, so without. And this is also a law of correspondence. That's another law from Hermetic philosophy. So within, so without, so above, so below. And that's a law of correspondence, meaning when you guys have a good vibration in your heart, a good vibration here, uh, the pattern in the body changes. The pattern in your body changes on a molecular level where you're in harmony, you're in love. Let's say you're joyful for the day. This is how we start generating our own energy. The heart and the mind has to be in sync with one another, and that's the soul within. And then once you guys start emitting, I'm sorry, when you guys start to transmit out, this is how you start attracting things in your life. So let's say you start with love first. Yeah, you're gonna feel love. You're gonna start acting in love. So now you're going to attract love. This is how this happens. The universe only functions on emotions and thoughts. This is how the law of attraction really starts, guys. Is um, the attention on it, the feeling of it. It goes off of feelings. If you guys are not feeling love, you're never going to receive it. You're never going to. It's never going to manifest. This is how manifesting works. It's not going to manifest into your life if you don't feel it. So once again, guys, whatever you uh, transmit, it comes. It receives, and what you are receiving transmits out. So it's like this dual of energy that's a constant flow. This is how I perceive it. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. I was trying to write things down. Um, and then also, guys, like I was just talking about, what you think you will attract. The music you listen to, I want to add this in here too. The music you listen to will affect your eternal world. If you guys are not aware of it or not, you're going to be aware of it after this episode. The music you listen to affects your internal world. We just talked about this, guys. We're a big radio receiver, right? So we are receiving this music. It changes your behavior. It can change your emotions. It can change your thoughts. The music consciousness downloads overnight into our subconscious. We're just not aware of it. Or some of us are aware of it. But for, most of the I'm going to say this, modern human collective, they don't want us to be aware of the effects of music when we listen to it, especially on a repeat level. Like I said, guys, alpha is your flow state. Alpha is the downloading transfer state at night. So whatever you guys listen to, whatever you guys have perceived over the day, gets downloaded through this alpha state, and then it gets pushed into your subconscious. If it gets past your subconscious barrier, meaning the mind will receive and throw it into the computer hardware overnight. If it gets past, the barriers of the conscious mind and subconscious mind, a majority of the time, music will blow past the official barrier and then get dumped to your subconscious at night, and then you start changing your emotions. You start changing your thoughts when this music starts to come into your subconscious. It starts to manufacture those emotions, starts to manufacture that frequency. So when you wake up, this is this is the effect of music, guys. This is the real effect of music, and I'm really going to start breaking it down. I think I'm ahead of myself, but it's coming out of me. It's authentic. So it's been bursting out of me for a long time. That's part of the reason why I'm ahead of myself. My show notes, as I call them. And I also want to say this too, guys. With modern music, especially, words can affect us. Hate to do this in front of you guys. Yeah. Words can affect us. Our throat chakra. This. I have a big Adam's apple so you guys can see it. This is the throat chakra. All this is your vocal cords. And it's a very powerful instrument. And I'm going to share with you guys why it's a powerful instrument. When we're talking, guys, not only do we affect or other human beings can hear us, the spiritual world can hear us too. And like I said, guys, we emit an energy, we emit a consciousness. The consciousness just doesn't stop at the other person. This consciousness travels, it travels, it travels, it travels. It keeps moving, which means it moves through the quantum, it moves through realms, it moves through other entities, it moves through so above, so below, meaning that it ripples through other dimensions up top and it ripples through other dimensions below us. And I was just reading the Emerald Tablets. I'm just going to tell you guys this too. There are 9 dimensions atop of us, and there's 14 below us, meaning there's 23 dimensions altogether. So this is where the number 23 comes into play yet again. As above, so below. So this is what I mean, guys, by we must watch our words, because these things do ripple above, it ripples so below, it ripples out, it ripples forward, it ripples back. Sound, our vocal cords are so powerful, guys. Even when you're on the other side, you can still talk. And this is, and then you guys have probably seen it in these movies too, where you see people talking on the other side and people are listening because the human voice is so powerful. You can talk yourself out of anything that you want. Even if you're existing on the other side or having an out of body experience, you can still use your powerful human voice. And I'm going to say it, those other entities cannot touch you once you start saying stuff, or emitting these frequency waves. There's universal laws that these different dimensions have to abide by, and the human throat chakra is a very powerful tool in these other dimensions, and they know that. That was not in my show notes, but it came out of me, meaning that I have experienced that. I wasn't going to share that with you guys, but I did anyway. We'll talk about that. That's going to be a whole another show in a little bit. But once again, guys, the music we listen to affects us, affects our emotions, it affects our minds. Which brings me to the inspiration of this whole entire show. My inspiration for this show, and I'm going to start with a quote from this movie that I'm getting ready to talk about. The quote says, "The human spirit is more powerful than any drug." I'm going to say that one more time. The human spirit is more powerful than any drug. And my inspiration of this whole thing is I was on Netflix. I think it was around, I want to say around Thanksgiving or maybe going into Christmas. I had nothing else to watch. I had nothing else to do that day. I think I had taken a break from the gym and yoga and everything else. And I was just on Netflix watching stuff because I hadn't watched Netflix in a long time. And on my suggestion list, it was this movie named Awakenings. And I'm like, this movie sounds familiar. And when I started to read the description, it said Awakenings was, released in 1990, which I was 10 back in 1990. So that's why I said I recalled this movie, but I didn't know, how aware I heard about it. But I was so young at the time, it was there, but I never saw the movie. Awakenings from 1990, it stars Robert De Niro and Robin Williams, is based on a true story about how Dr. Malcolm Sayer Robin Williams, this neurologist. Back in 1969, Dr. Sayer used or he played classical opera. He played snippets from opera arias. Those are beautiful sometimes. I mean, not sometimes. Classical arias. He played jazz. He also played some rock and roll. And the reason why this movie was so transformative is because no one had ever broken into sound using music as treatment before. They were always using drugs, which they still do to this day. But Dr. Sayer had tapped into something no one had ever done before. And he started to play opera, jazz, and rock and roll to treat his patients. And with this music, he was able to take these people from a frozen stiff catatonic state. And when he played these music tones, these music frequencies to his patients, their bodies reanimated. Meaning, when I was watching the movie, there's this one character, she was literally frozen like this. And when he played different, let's say, classical aria, her hands opened up. She sat up straight. In some cases in the movies, they were eating. Like the medicine they were taking wasn't working. They would literally starve themselves to death because their mouths are frozen. But when Dr. Sayer started playing, different music that was conducive to their bodies, they could eat, they could drink, they could throw. What else did the characters do? Some of them danced towards the end of the movie. So this is where my curiosity about music started, because after watching that movie, I was just like, there has to be something more to this music than I thought. And so this is where I started to really start doing a deep dive into vibrations, uh, frequency, waves, hertz. So the information that I did have, this movie helped me connect the dots. And this is what I mean by I've been sitting on this information for a long time. It's because the inspiration had to be there for me to create this whole entire episode around this movie. And if you guys ever want to watch Awakenings, I think this is the last month is going to be on Netflix, or maybe you can stream it somewhere else. But I highly suggest that you guys watch it. It's a beautiful film. Getting a little choked up thinking about it, but that's what I want you guys to go away with is if music can heal our bodies, music can also harm our bodies. And what I want to say to you guys is either healing or harming. I also want to say that chants, prayers, words, notes, and tones that exist within music all affects the human body. I just on my deep journey into music frequencies, I discovered that opera is actually tuned right at 432 hertz. You guys are probably wondering what is 432. 432 is a universal healing tone. It's seen as a miracle tone of nature, meaning that everything from water, plants, animals, insects, humans, us, all react positively to this tone when played. So, this is what classical composers such as Mozart, Bach, Beethoven, Chopin, all that classical music is tuned right at 432. This is why classical and some classic jazz, instrumental jazz, is so universal. It's because it's a healing tone. Anyone could listen to it and they're going to feel something good. They're going to feel something positive within their bodies. You don't even have to speak the language if there is an opera singer on the music score, but you're going to feel something wonderful within inside of you that you cannot explain. And I'm here to tell you guys this is an explanation of why classical music is still uh, used today, why there's still opera shows playing, is because these are healing tones to the body, is healing tones to the environment. Everything, everyone loves the 432 tone. I don't care what you are, a spirit, a physical object body, everything's going to react positively to this music miracle tone. And I'm going to say this too. Mariah Carey, mother, you know, she is a musical genius, and I'm going to tell you guys why. She's a modern day musical genius. All I Want for Christmas, and I looked this up, is tuned right at 432. I don't know if she knew that or not when she was creating this music for all of us, but we cannot help but listen to the song. And you guys are probably wondering, I'm so sick of the song. Why do they play it every year? Well, because everyone likes to hear it. Like we just said, guys, 432 is the healing tone. Every time that song plays, even though we know the words to it, right? We still let it play out. And guess what? You feel good when you're listening to Mariah, when you're listening to the tones that are coming out of that record, is because she put that healing tone in there. And this is why All I Want for Christmas is always there when when Halloween shuts down, because it's such a feel good record. And she, like I said, tuned it at 432. You just feel fuzzy and warm and Christmassy every time you hear it. So hopefully this Christmas, guys, when the record plays, now you're gonna understand. It's gonna be on your mind of how and why this song is so universal. I don't care what language people listen to it. You're just going to feel the music, and that's what I'm trying to say with classical music and some jazz music is it's such a feel good tone that you can't help but listen to it. And then, like I said, guys, on a molecular level, your cells receive it, your cells start vibrating, and it's almost like a massage to your cells when they listen to 432. Um, and that's really all I have to say about it. But yeah, hopefully you guys can appreciate Mariah Carey a little more after this episode, and also appreciate the creation of classical music as well as jazz. It's amazing what we can do when we put our minds to it, when we put our imaginations to it. So shout out to Mariah Carey, huge fan, always been a fan since Vision of Love. But we're getting to Mariah Carey in a different episode. But continuing on, guys. What am I trying to say here? Music, if used correctly, it can directly heal our vessels, or it can harm our vessels. And if we don't listen to music, guys, the lack of thereof can also harm our bodies as well. If we never introduce a good healing tone to it, your body, your cells require it. It requires that energy. It requires that love. And then, like I said, music can harm it. Um, Hopefully now, like I said, you guys are aware of how this the 432 can heal and reanimate the body, and like I talked about in Awakenings. And let's chat about the other side. Let's chat about how harmful music can be um, when people use it in a negative or derogatory way. This is part two. And I'm just gonna say this. Today's music, excuse me. This is part two of today's music. We're gonna talk about today's music and why it's changed. Um, so keep in mind of everything we just talked about, guys, of how frequency is a energy consciousness wave, hertz is measured in cycles, and then vibration is how uh, the rate of which a atom or electron um, vibrates when it's received. Keep all that in mind as I'm talking to you guys about this whole entire music industry. I'm going to say that. Um, so today's music, it has changed. I know we all have been talking about, oh, the music today is not different. I mean, it's different. I'm gonna tell you guys why. Today's popular music has changed because I'm gonna say it. This is my channel. Um, because it's tuned at 440 hertz. I know that's a really slight variation, but that's done on purpose. 432 is the healing tone. 440 is out of sync with our bodies. What do I mean by that? 440, when listened to with an untrained ear or untrained heart, is actually a different feeling. You can feel that the music is different. However, it adds for 440 adds for a catchier sound, which is what we hear today in pop music. It adds in for a more catchier sound, a more vibrant sound on the radio or any digital platform. And like I said, guys, the tone is so subtle that we don't even realize it. What else can I say about 440? Um, it's something that we have to be trained to listen to. And what do I mean by that is, as young kids, we do listen to the radio or we do listen to, any musical platform, and we may or may not like it. It just comes in as noise. But like I said before, when we start to go along with the crowd, that's how we train our own selves to like this kind of music. Like I said, which is actually harmful for us. And I'm also going to say this too, guys. Today's music, the reason why it's changed is because the spells have changed, which are hidden within the music. These hidden spells keeps us in a toxic loop of thoughts. It keeps us chained in the mind. That's what I want to tell you guys too, with these added um, new music of today. It keeps us in a current state of mind. So those of you who are, let's say, awakening, and you might have a hard time keeping your emotions, keeping your frequencies high, re-examine the music you listen to. And I'm going to dive a little deeper into that, but this is just an introduction of what I want to tell you guys is this 440 musical standard that's become a part of um, our pop culture fabric of music is actually very harmful to us. Um, like I said, it's a slight change, but you can feel it, right? I feel it. Even before I started to wake up, I did not listen to a lot of today's music because it didn't feel right, but I didn't know how to put my finger on the dial to say, oh, this is why I'm having a hard time, accepting this new music. Now I get it on why we have come into this harmful frequency. I'm going to say that too. So, what else can I say about this music? Yeah, there's hidden spells, there's hidden chants. The content that they're releasing to us has changed. I'm gonna get into that in a little bit. And it keeps us in, like I said, a toxic loop, and it keeps us chained to the mind as a collective consciousness. If we all listen to the same music, it keeps us all consciously in the same loop of emotions. And I'm also going to say this too, guys. Some some facts about how this went down is, like I said, um, classical music was the standard for a long time. Um, and then music started to change the trends, and then we went into jazz era that went on for a long time, probably up until the 1950s, 1960s. But around the 60s, there started to have synthesizers and different musical instruments because technology was growing. And the engineers at the time started to experiment with music, meaning um, they started to experiment with 440. So there was a bit of a departure from the 432, and they started to tinker around with the 440 musical tones. So that's where in the 1960s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and now beyond 2000s, um, some records were coming out differently from others, but eventually over time, because of record sales, I'm assuming, um, the trend started to go towards the 440 and people started to depart from the 432. So once again, money, record sales drives the recorded music industry. And when people started to uh, buy more records that were produced with that 440 sound, more than likely the producers and engineers just figured, I think that's what they like, and let's continue with the 440. And then, like I said before, at a young age, we start listening to music and we start to accept the new programming. That's what I'm trying to say. And people started to accept that new programming of 440 instead of sticking to the 432. And especially those of us with a 19 in front of our birth year, like for me, 1980, yeah, I still remember music that was still clean. It was still feel good music because more than likely, guys, it was right at 432. Now, over the years, some of those records turned into 440. But this is, I feel like this is where this is where the trend of the 440 started, was back in the 60s and 70s when they were experimenting with different sounds and different machines and synthesizers to make the music sound different. This is where all that starts stemming from. And we start departing from the miracle tone. Now, I can't say that all music is like that, but well, especially in the inception of it, but people started to tinker around and experiment to see what everyone liked. And like I said, the 440 just became the musical standard. Um, and then let's go into more of the uh, modern music and why it's so different now. The added word began. Or they started to put, especially repeating words into the songs. The way the songs were constructed in popular music is repetitive. Listening to like a jazz record, if you guys listened to one before, or classical music, most of the time there's not a voice in it. Or earlier recorded music had a story to it, or they shared stories from different folklore. Well, popular music, they started to have a repeating chorus or repeating of words. And I'm just going to say it. That's pretty much a chant. I'm just not going to sugarcoat it. Because like I said, this needs to be said. And like I said, guys, words are frequencies. As we talked about in the beginning of this episode, your words are a vibration. It's a frequency. It's an emotion that comes out of here. And it's an energy that comes out of you. You have to suck in air to produce that heat, produce that sound. So this is what I mean by our vessels are doing a lot for us. Is we breathe in, energy gets generated, energy gets pushed out into the quantum. And when these words are sung correctly, when these words are sung at a certain tone, when these words are pronunciated at a certain frequency, do these words start becoming harmful to us, and these words start becoming a spell for us? I know this stuff sounds woo woo or a part of a conspiracy theory, guys, but this stuff is real. This stuff is not fake. I have single handedly experienced it myself. The reason why I added this into the show today, these words are real, guys. Words are not just words. Words are a emotion. Words are a frequency. Words are a energy. Um, if you guys have paid attention, if you guys have been to church, you've been to, like, say, a temple, you've been to a religious organization where they do ceremonies. If you guys are open to it, you start to understand the pattern of how they're saying these different words. You start to understand the cadence they are saying these words. You start to understand the tones and frequencies they're saying. When these people are saying the right prayers, when the people are saying the right chants, guys, I'm a little ahead of the show, but we'll get back to that in a little bit. But they start to open portals. And what I mean, I don't mean like a physical portal that you can see with your eyes. I'm talking about there's a mental, spiritual portal that opens up in here. And when those words are chanted to you in the correct way, do these things start to open up within inside of you, and these things start to uh, receive and what's it called? Be interpreted into your body. Like I said, guys, we're a giant radio receiver and we're also a beacon. So if you're going along with that prayer, guess what that's doing? You are emitting out that energy, which means that energy is going to start to find you, weave its way through to your mind. And now your mind is perceiving it and it's going to internalize it. And this is what I mean, guys, by words and chants and spells is real. This stuff is not fake. This stuff is not uh, spiritual witchcraft. This stuff is real. It like I said, guys, it's on a spiritual level that our human minds cannot understand, not unless you've been to the other side and you witnessed it. This stuff is real. And I'm gonna move on because there's more for me to say about um, these modern day songs and modern day artists. I'm gonna put that out there too. Um, so let's get to words and contents, choruses and verses. And this is all of modern day music. There's always a verse and then there's the chorus. And normally these days, there's less verses and more chorus, meaning that they repeat and chant a little more than they used to do in popular music, especially. And I mean by popular music, I'm just not mean like pop artists. I mean R&B artists, hip hop artists or trap artists, country artists, rock artists, everyone who's a part of a major label. The way they construct the music now is very different. And you guys are probably wondering why is it like that? It's not by accident on how these people landed on a more chorus, less content. It's for a reason. And we're going to jump into that right now. So, words and songs with content about sex or promiscuity, songs about violence or hate, songs about loneliness, suicide, sorrow, separation, meaning we're different from other people, songs about drug abuse, about drugs, alcohol, addiction. That could be addiction to sex, drugs, uh, or alcohol. That's another one. Songs about cheating or sneaky links. I had to throw some terminology out there. Um, Songs about partying or twerking. Songs about love. Songs about not being in love. Songs about missing a love. These are all emotional energy waves. And when we listen to these different songs, that kind of content, guys, we start to internalize that content. We start to become that content. And like I was saying with the a longer repeating chorus, it really starts to drill in that emotion. It really starts to drill in that that sound frequency into our ears, into our minds. And this is why I said, guys, words are so important, is because when it's said over and over and over and over again, do we start to perk up and start listening to that word? We start listening to that energy. We start listening to that emotion. And it downloads in our bodies through our ears. Our mind starts to perceive it. Our heart starts to feel it immediately, because with any beat, your heart receives it. A beat is an emotion. This is why I had to introduce all that other stuff to talk about this new music that we are experiencing in today's field. And I'm also going to say, guys, with the repetition of the songs, repetition of words, it starts to put the mind into a hypnosis, so to say. And I also want to say too about this, guys, although the artist feels they are sharing their, or let's say the artist is sharing their vibrations, they're sharing their feelings through the song, through the music, guess what happens to us who are receiving those vibrations and that feeling on the other end? That frequency transfers to you. I'm going to say that again, guys. An artist, how they feel while they were recording that song, how they sang the song, that vibration they put out into the record, once we play it, gets transferred and downloaded onto us. So if you guys ever listen to your favorite artist and let's say they're going through a breakup record, the whole record is all about breaking up, guess what, guys? You're going to start feeling that emotion. If an artist is going through, let's say, a phase of sorrow let's say on their album, guess what's going to start? You're going to start feeling that too. And you're going to start believing it and going out there and acting as that artist. So this is what I mean, guys, by really start paying attention to what you listen to, is because it's so subtly done that we don't, if you're not aware of it, you're not going to pick up on it. It's going to take a while for you to get to it. Or maybe some people never wake up to it. They just play the same music their whole entire lives, and they never understand why they can never evolve out of their emotions. They can never change their frequency, because you cannot serve two masters. You cannot try to be a child of light and then also listen to some of this dark music out here. So hopefully that can bridge the gap with you guys on what I'm really trying to say with talking about chant spells and hidden spells within music today. And I also want to also say this too. Our mind is a giant IBM computer, or a giant IBM recording. And I got this from, I was watching an Apollo 13. No, I was watching the Apollo documentary, and when they introduced the IBM computers to do the calculations for trajectories for the aircraft, for the spacecraft, um it was just amazing how big they were. And I'm like, oh yeah, that I can infuse that into the show. And this is what our brains are. Our mind is actually bigger than this skull that's is inside. It emits a lot more. But what I'm trying to say with that too, guys, is with that being that our minds and our brains are these giant IBM recorders, it is downloading. And once that frequency, once that emotion gets downloaded, it creates the emotion within your mind. Remember I said, guys, a vibration, how it comes in, how a frequency is a consciousness. That consciousness gets downloaded to you through your own computer. Your mind starts creating that emotion through the heart. And then eventually, your subconscious will play that music right back to you. Meaning, let's say you listen to a song all day. When you go to bed at night, you're gonna start what's it called? That song's gonna get transferred into your subconscious, your deep subconscious mind. It gets dumped in there. Your body or your subconscious at night starts to play that song over and over again within itself. And then when you wake up, the music that or the emotion or frequency you just downloaded is going to play right back to you. So let's say you did play a song about sorrow. You did play a song about drinking alcohol. You did hear a song about twerking all night. Guess what you're going to start doing the next day, or the behaviors after that, or cheating songs. You're going to start doing that stuff, guys, and you're never going to understand why you're doing it. But like I said, when you start to listen to these songs, when you start to listen to the content of these songs, where you start to awaken yourself and realize that some of these songs can be more harmful to yourself than what is packaged as. That's also what I'm trying to say. So, with that introduction into the harmful music of today, am I trying to say you hear one song and your mind's incepted? I'm going to say no. You hear a song a couple times, it's going to probably go in one ear and out the other. But guess what happens, guys? When you start to hear a song over and over and over and over again, yes, your mind will be incepted with these emotions, with these ideas, with these feelings. And the method of the recorded music industry is not by chance, guys. Especially, I'm just going to say it, especially the people who are in charge of the record industry, who subscribe to darker forces, meaning there are dark energies out there. There are dark entities out there waiting to hear these different tones, to hear these different energies. Because, like I said, guys, what you put your attention to now flows to you. This is the law of attraction. So if you're in a spirit of sorrow, guess what's going to find you? Sorrow. If you're in a feeling of depression because you heard music that day that was depressing, you're going to attract that energy to you. And then once you do feel that energy, you're going to attract it out. And this is how the flow of energy continues when your mind and when your emotions are not where they're supposed to be. And this is how recorded music industry is affecting the collective consciousness. And like I said, guys, this is not by accident. Most of these people do subscribe to these dark magics, these dark entities, and is hidden within our music, wrapped up in a pop beat. And I'm going to continue on. Yeah, guys, like I said, your subconscious mind does play it right back to you. What do I mean by that? If you guys have ever listened to a song before, let's say it's your favorite song, you play it over and over and over and over again. Again, you go to bed. You wake up, you start your day like you normally do. You go throughout your day. And I've experienced this too in my lifetime. A song just gets stuck in your head the whole day. This is what I mean by this is how your body starts to replay the music right back to you. It's because once a song starts to replay in your mind, it's a part of you. It's a part of your subconscious now. And that's what I wanted to say about, when the song plays back to you verbatim, that song, that energy is now a part of you. And it's going to take some work to get that song out of your mind, get that energy out of you. And this is what I mean, guys, by, really starting to pay attention to what you listen to, is when these songs start to play back to you at will, that's hopefully going to make you guys aware. This is going to let you know that that song has taken a hold of you. This song has taken a hold of your mind. It's in your mainframe now. That's what I'm trying to say. And now with today's recorded music, it can be played unlimitedly, meaning radio stations a long time ago were a part of the record industry's what's it called? Um, Spell work. Um, they push certain artists, they push certain music out there to the collective, and they did it a very sneaky way. All those movies about how record execs would pay DJs, that stuff is real. That stuff happened, guys, and it's a reason why that stuff happened. And hopefully, this is explaining to you guys how and why certain artists, certain music was played over other artists is because there was something within that song that they wanted to get out to the collective. And they were going to push it with as much money as they could. So radio stations back in the day were very crucial to the record industry. Now the record industry really doesn't have to do too much because it's digital, right? Um, Through Spotify, Pandora, let's say um, Apple, whatever we platforms we use these days, we can start and stop songs at will. So it's making the job easier for the record labels to keep the collective consciousness of people under the spell, and they are betting and banking that we never wake up. But this this is what I mean by this is how I feel like I'm the guide today to wake you guys up to this is what they're doing. This is what they're really doing. And hopefully, you guys walking away from this episode, you can start to re-examine um, how you feel about sound, how you feel about the energy that it emits. And yes, like I keep mentioning, they want to put the collective consciousness under a cell. And what do I mean by collective? That means all of us, all 8 billion of us, if they can. They want to keep all of us under a cloak and a hypnosis and a spell to where we are depending on, partying. We are depending on drugs. We are depending on sex to distract us. We are depending on, keeping our bodies as sexy as possible all the time. And like I said, guys, they're doing this through music. They're doing it through the artist's artistry. This stuff is not by accident, guys. That's what I'm trying to say. And um, like I mentioned before, these music frequencies affect us down to the molecular atomic electron level, meaning atoms and electrons is how our cells start dividing, how the energy starts to vibrate. I don't know if you guys have watched a video about inception of a sperm and egg, but when those two unite, it's like this vibration goes off and the light lights up. I actually saw a documentary about that. That was fascinating. But yes, even within the woman's uterus, when that sperm does unite with the egg, it creates a vibration, it creates a sound. So sound, like I said, guys, never leaves us, it creates us. And then light is a secondary product out of a vibration, which goes back to our creation stories. There was sound and there was light. And it does the same thing within the human body. So this is what I mean, guys, by waking up to the physical world, to the spiritual world. When you have an awakened mind, do you start to realize the patterns within everything? I mean, we're not obsessing about them. It's just bringing awareness to into patterns of this planet, the pattern of this universe, the pattern of the multiverse. It runs the same when we open our minds to it. But yes, guys. Like I said, every emotion, every word will be felt by you, coming to your mind, and it reprograms us. Now, I'm going to depart from the music industry for a little bit. And I'm going to talk about how, actually, let me say one more thing before I move on. So, like I said, guys, all those negative emotions I talked about, the content about these songs, um, the subconscious behaviors start. Like I said, you're going to start drinking more. You can start doing drugs more. You can start having sex more with multiple people because you heard it in a song. You're going to start trying to look sexy all the time. This is where the subconscious behavior starts. And if it goes unchecked, guys, guess what's going to happen your whole entire life? You're going to think that that is how you are supposed to function. You're going to focus only on those physical things. And like I keep drilling into this episode is, guys, you're going to start believing it. You're going to start thinking it's normal. You're going to start normalizing these songs' content. And this is what I'm trying to say in this episode. So, music through the ages. Music through the ages was different. It was only played live, meaning, from man's early days to now. But back in the day, only music used to be played live. It was played in homes, temples, at parties, royal courts, taverns, concert halls, on the street. So I had to put that in there because I want you guys to think about how the music industry has reshaped our consciousness. There was a time where we could only go to different uh, places to hear music, or people, like I said, people played music in their homes through instruments, but most of the time that music was organically generated. It wouldn't get stuck in our minds. But today's music, like I said, is recorded. The energies, the frequencies are recorded, which means we can start and stop and keep programming ourselves into this music all the time. And this is how dangerous this recorded modern music can be to all of us. And if you guys remember in my sloth series, my first episode was Somnus, which is the sleep episode. This is sleepwalking. When we're not aware of what a frequency, vibration, or hertz is, we're sleepwalking through life. But this is a part of waking yourself up to the light, to the albedo. This is shedding off, like I said, the negretto in alchemy. When you guys start to become aware of what a frequency vibration really is, that is the lead. That's the lead that is getting burned off from your vibration off of your soul. And now with this awakening, you guys can understand, step into the light, come into albedo, and this is how you guys do that. But you're probably wondering, well, Al, how did I get into negretto? And I would say you did that because one, your tribe, the way you were raised. Two, the collective consciousness was popular to us, was available for us to listen to and see. And this is also Inception. And I know I talked about this in Somnus too, but like I said before, guys, Inception is a subtle art. And the record industry has perfected this subtle art so well that they do it through the artists that they have on their labels. They do it through the visuals, like music videos. Music videos are not by chance. They do it through the artwork on an album cover. Um, like I said, guys, they've had decades and decades to perfect this. The recorded music industry is more psychological than what they're packaging it as. They're packaging it as sexy. They're packaging it as glamorous. They're packaging everything so it looks attractive to our human eyes, and we don't notice the subtleness that's behind that artist, behind those words, behind the musical tones that they are putting out to us. Probably reason why they always dress the artists up so it can look sexy to us, and we don't even realize what's going on because we're so focused on how wonderful that human being looks in front of us that we don't understand what the true words are coming out of their mouths. We don't understand the beat that's behind their voice. Um, this is how I feel this all goes down, guys. And if you guys have probably noticed, I'm going to say this too. when you start to notice an artist, um, especially in their music videos, like you start seeing more red, you start seeing horns of like animals, you start seeing blood done in some of their videos, you start seeing different, let's say, dark entities in their videos. You start to see animals sacrificing in their videos. You start to see humans sacrificing. Guys, this is not by chance. These artists are um, either being forced into it or they do subscribe to this dark entity art, these dark energies. But guys, you got to start paying attention to what's coming across your visuals, what's coming across your ears. And when you start to awaken yourself to these really popular artists, I'm not going to say any names, um, but once you guys start waking up to what these artists are doing, will you start to wake yourself up and stop listening to all that stuff? Because it's just, they always say, oh, it's just art. No, it's not. You are packaging it, you're selling it to me as art. This is how you see things. But in actuality, most artistry is stemmed out of authenticity, which means that they subscribe to that different vibration. They subscribe to that entity. And like I said, guys, if they're attracting that energy, they're transmutating it to you through digital sound, because you can start and stop that song at any time. And mingled with imagination, guys, this stuff works. This is what I mean by the record industry is doing it in a subtle way to where we're not even aware of it. But now, hopefully, after this episode, you guys can start opening your minds, opening your consciousness to what these people are doing and what they're doing. It's not right. I'm not blaming anyone. I'm just saying that they've done it so subtly that we don't know that they're doing it. But like I said, once you start to vibrate yourself higher, you start to see the patterns, you start to see what it really is, and you'll stop listening to that music. And they don't want us to stop buying the music. They don't want us to stop downloading the music because they make a ton of money. So this is a part of being an awakened individual, guys, is once you stop focusing your attention on that, do you stop attracting, all of that dark energy and all that dark matter onto yourself? Um, and like I said, this also expands into the artists' shows, their concerts. We start seeing images of different animals and they're doing stuff on stage, and we're just like, woo, yeah. But again, if we're under hypnosis from their words, we're not really paying attention to what we're seeing because we're so excited about being at that show. But in actuality, that artist knows what they're doing. They know the show and they know how to construct the show to where when we really start getting into the middle of things, do we not start to focus on it? And then we start to perceive all that stuff. And the imagery, when you go home at night, is going to download into your body, it's going to download into your subconscious. And now that image, that entity is going to start being attracted to you. Guys, this is, I don't know where that came from because that wasn't in my show notes, but I want you guys to understand the severity of some artists. I'm not saying all of them are like that. Like I said, Mariah Carey, her music is very clean. I like Maya's work. There's a few other artists that I really do like. But for the most part, guys, I'm not going to name any other artists because I'm trying to keep this content as general as possible. But some artists out there, guys, are subscribing to this, this frequency, into these energies. That's a better word to say it. They are subscribing into these energies, and I'm just trying to make you guys aware of this. Yeah, they are true manipulators, guys. The record industry. I'm not going to say any names or who's out there these days trying um, to yeah, we're not going to mention any names. I'm trying to keep this as much as decent as possible as I can. But this brings me to the story of Prince. When I was younger, I remember Prince changed his name from Prince the artist. And watching a lot of his interviews, I'm understanding of why he did that. He was trying to unsubscribe from whatever he was doing before to his music. And if you guys notice, his music changed even after he became the artist. Which lets me know that, not to say he was subscribing to something dark before, but whatever they were trying to have him do, he didn't want to do it. And even that meant him losing contracts, losing a lot of money. He decided to keep his integrity and continue his music as an artist and not the old Prince. So that came out of me too. That was not in my show notes. But to make this make sense to you guys, I'm gonna tell you guys a personal story about demonics. As a boy growing up in the 80s, we still have record players. And when I was a little boy, there were theories out there that if you play a record, backwards, you get to hear a different message. And I didn't really understand what that meant until I went over to this little kid's house, and we were all talking about this on the playground. He was like, "Well, let's all meet at my house and let's play one of my dad's records backwards and see what happens." So we're just like, "Oh yeah, let's do it." It was a popular 80s rock song. I cannot remember what it was. I was trying to remember what it was, but I can't remember what song it was. But it was a popular hair band from the 80s. And we played the record because records used to come in. It was even singles came as big records. So we played the song because we loved it. Forward, as it's played. And then the kid was just like, "Well, let's just run it backwards," because if you guys remember, if you have a record player before, you can reverse and go forward. He hit the reverse button. The record started to play backwards, and what came out of the stereo was this deep, dark voice. And when I first heard the voice, I just kind of like jumped back. And the music that was playing behind it was dark and demonic. And then the chanting that came out of that record, I don't think I even finished. I think I got halfway through it or maybe a quarter of it, and I just ran out the house and went home. And I told my mom, and that was my last time ever going to that boy's house. But what I'm trying to say with that is, guys, on the forward end, it's probably poppy catchy and you don't catch it. But let's say you reverse the song on a record player. Not to say all songs do it, but this particular song that we listened to that day, something else came out of that record player that did not gel with my spirit. And that's a memory I had as I was putting this episode together. Is some records, if you guys play them backwards, you can hear what is really on that record, what is really playing in reverse from the other side. Now, I'm not saying that every record out there has these demonic tones in it, but I would say for the most part, we have to start watching our music, guys. We have to start paying attention to what we listen to. We must start paying attention. That is what I'm trying to say. And the moral to that story is some of these music artists have hidden spells. It's done on purpose. They're not the only ones influencing the music. They have engineers, they have writers, they have producers, and then they also have the record executives. And the record executives have bosses. So what am I trying to say, guys? From the top down to that glossed up, superhuman looking artist that's in front of us, dancing, talking, and singing, there is a chain of command. There is a chain of spells that we're not aware of. The artist is just a conduit to get that spell out there, but there's so much behind that artist that we don't even understand. But what I can say is it's being created and is getting pushed out to us. And I also want to say about this too, guys. There's some artists out there that have been around for a long time, and the question that I came up with was, have you ever heard or felt you're like, oh, the artist's music has changed, or you're just like, well, I don't like what they're really doing now. Well, guys, there's a reason why their music changed. There's a reason why we don't like what they're doing anymore, because we can perceive it, we can feel it, right? Or we can perceive it through our consciousness. Something is not right with that artist's new music, because their old music sounds great, it's feel good, but let's say, current artists who are out there these days producing music, you're just like, something's off, something's not right. But sometimes we still listen to it because everyone else is listening to it. But in actuality, guys, listen to your intuition. If your intuition is telling you that artist's new music isn't right, stop. Just stop listening to it. Stop forcing yourself. Because, like I said, guys, the more you listen to this music, the more you start attracting these dark entities. You start attracting these dark, demonic forces within inside of you. And I also want to say this too, guys. There's artists who have been out there for a long time, and let's say their work is very popular when they're just starting out, and they win awards, and let's say for some reason their music starts to change. It's not really played on the radios much anymore, or it's not downloaded that much. But when they show up to these award shows, they're still winning all these awards. So that's what I was thinking about when I was putting this episode together. I'm like, how is your music not popular anymore, but you're still going on world tours and you're still winning awards? Something's not adding up. And I also just wanted to throw that out there too, guys, is, like I said, the videos change, the stage performances change, the chants are changing. And like I said, guys, uh, there's a force behind these artists. There's a force behind this whole recorded industry that they don't want to let up off. There's a major more reason of why they're pushing certain artists over others. And hopefully this is awakening you guys to that experience, what I'm talking about. So, and I also want to say lastly, before I wrap things up, music played at the right frequency, let's say at a big concert, um, can and will put the collective consciousness attending this event under a spell, meaning there's speakers all around that stadium, let's just say. The artist is on stage. The artist even has, let's say, giant screens. So you're getting bombarded with sound. You are now getting bombarded with visuals. And then the people around you, you guys, when we're so close to another human, let's say it's a stadium tour, and the next human's like, I don't know, I'm trying to say, like, maybe right by that candle, your energies are coming together all in one space, guys. And this is how hypnosis, and this is how this collective consciousness starts to transfer from person to person, person to person. And especially with the stadium, guys, that sound gets reverberated back. So it echoes out and it echoes in. So all that being said, guys, your vessel, your instrument is getting attacked from all ends. It's getting attacked from front, back, side, top, down. It's getting all this information. It's taking in all this energy. Like I said, it can be healing to you guys, or it can be harmful. But whatever that frequency, whatever that wave of energy is, our body is perceiving it. And this is what I'm trying to say, guys. And it's like I said, it's such a subtle thing because we're so focused on being at that show that we don't realize what's really happening within our bodies. We're not understanding what we're receiving, and we're not understanding what we are projecting back out into the quantum, out to the artist. And this is, if you guys have ever been in a space before, you can feel the mass collection of energy. And this is how it's really broken down, is when everyone's on the same vibration, everyone's on the same frequency, it creates a wave. And the artist can feel it, you can feel it, everyone feels the same thing. And this is how this general, like I said, inception can begin, and you take it away from you take it away, uh, you take that away from the experience as well. That's what I'm trying to say. And you take that spirit home with you. And this is how, I hate to say it, guys, the transfer of demonic forces comes. Because when you're that open to energy, it automatically can attach to you. That's another thing that was not in my show notes. When you're open and you're attracting these different forces, these forces start attaching to you. And this is how people say, or when you guys go into a healer, they're like, there's some demonic force in you, or there's something on your spirit. This is more than likely where that transfer came from either a club, a concert, uh, music, TV, other people. This is how things get transferred, guys, if you're not open to your protecting your energy, protecting your field. Okay, guys, let's talk. We've said enough. We've said a lot. I've been talking for almost 2 hours. This is wonderful. I'm just gonna say this. So now that we know what the music industry is today, you're probably wondering, well, Al, how do I change? How do I evolve? How do I vibrate higher out of this? And I would say it's really becoming conscious of what sound is. Becoming conscious that sound is consciousness. Sound is a wave of frequency. Sound is an emotion. Sound is a vibration. And being that we're just nothing but cells, those cells vibrate, those cells perceive, those cells project. Your brain, your consciousness itself, is a deep ocean of recording. It records everything. And I also want to say this too, guys. When you awaken yourself to that knowledge, you have now unlocked the keys to sound. You have now unlocked the keys to your body. You have now unlocked the keys to your vessel, and you can start treating it better. This is what awakening is, guys. This is how I've awakened myself. I did it. Well, I mean, this is just knowledge that I acquired, and I'm sharing it with you guys. But everything I just share with you guys is things that I've been unlocking for the last year. The reason why it took me so long to talk about this today. So you guys won't have to, take a year or 6 months to figure this out. Hopefully, after this episode, it can happen a little quicker for you, and you guys can start raising your awareness. And I also want to say this to you guys, to that question is, you must awaken the light spirit in you. What do I mean by that? When you start to awakening your light spirit is really just, simply put, is there's a fire in you that animates this. My wise one is the one moving this. It's not me. Once you guys start to realize that, and you start to listen to your wiser one, well, you start to really start being open, being aware, and also you start to perceive the ethereal. You start to perceive the things you can't see. You start to perceive the things that you can't hear, but you can feel it. You can feel it. This is where awakening your soul means, guys, is you're burning off the negretto. You're burning off that that force that we've all been trained to accept in this matrix world. And like I said, guys, you start to trust your intuition, and that's how you awaken yourself. Is once you realize that this physical body is just the clothing, it's the dressing, it's the costume that we wear, so we can be seen in the physical form, um, I'm just gonna say it too. Our true spirit selves is formless and transparent. That's what I'm trying to say. Uh, well, you can see it. It's different colors, but I'm sorry, different frequency colors. But in this physical body, can we see each other? And this is what I mean, guys, by understanding that we're all light spirits incarnating down here as physical bodies. And this is where the story of Jesus really comes into play. Jesus or God was really just a human incarnation, so we can see who and what he is. But in actuality, this is just the clothing that's on top of that spirit. But once you guys, once again, understand and believe who you really are, do you start to awaken your spirit? I wasn't in my show notes either. That's something I had to say. Um, Once you guys start awakening your light soul, you start to realize that this music cannot harm your soul anymore. Meaning, you won't allow this music to affect you anymore. You won't allow um, what no longer feels right to you to play anymore. You're to stop that music. This is what awakening intuition will actualize into with you guys. And another question that came up as I'm talking about this, or as I was writing this, I also want to put out there is: have you guys ever experienced when you get to, let's say, a big concert, music starts to play, or maybe you go to a club, the music starts to play, and you're just like, I want to get out of here right away. This is your wiser self. This is your light self talking to you. And I'm going to encourage you guys to just leave. I know we pay a lot for these concerts these days. But if it's not gelling with you guys, if it's not vibing, I'm gonna use that word. It's not vibing with you. When the show starts, get out of there. That is your wiser self telling you not to listen to this music, not to listen to this show, not to see this show, and get the heck out of there. Um, so those of you who are staying clear of concerts, I would highly suggest you do that. Going away from this episode is because, like I just put together, not only do you hear the artist, you see the artist, but you're so close to other people and you're so open. Things can move, things can transfer, things can ripple through the collective consciousness. And like I said, it's done so subtly that we don't perceive it, we don't understand it if we're still sleeping. Now, when we are awakened individual, do we start to say, I'm not going to that concert, I'm not going to that club, I don't want to do that. And I also want to encourage you guys going away this episode is it's okay to say no to people. It's okay to say I don't want to go. It's okay to say that that doesn't vibe with me anymore. And if you lose quote unquote friends over it, guys, that's fine. You always find new ones, because when you guys start attracting and emitting out a new signal, a beacon, that new energy is going to start chasing you and it's going to start attracting you. That is a true law of attraction. So that's what I mean, guys, by the Matrix wants us to believe that we must go out there and acquire things. And I'm trying to convey over to you guys, it's not the truth. That's not how attraction is. You must generate the frequency, you must generate the energy within you first, because now that energy is going to chase you. This is the law of attraction. This is the law of correspondence. When you start emitting a new vibration, that energy, that frequency, that consciousness chases you, and new opportunities, new things will come to you, or negative things, demonic energies will start chasing you. So this is how. That's what I mean, guys. By after this episode is hopefully that makes you guys aware of what is really going on out here. There's good and there's not so good. And when you guys are open to both, now you can start, uh, like I said, vibrating yourselves a little higher and being a more conscious star traveler. existing in this human body. And this is what I wanted to tell you guys on this episode. Um, let's see what else. Yeah, follow you guys' soul's intuition. It will talk to you. And you're probably wondering, well, Al, how do I know what's right? And I would say meditation, or even within a space that, we'll say when we're in a concert space, you can still meditate in a concert, and you can silence that voice. I'm sorry, you can silence your mind, and you can start picking up on your inner voice, and that inner voice will instantly tell you guys if it's the right place for you guys to be or not. So that's, let's see, did I answer that correctly? How do I know what's right? Oh yeah, and you guys are also going to feel the emotions through your heart. We're just feel I feel like we're skimming the tip of the iceberg here when we're talking about heart intelligence, and that's what I want to tell you guys too. Your heart does more than just beat. It created you. It keeps you alive. It emits frequencies from it, and it also receives frequencies. So that's what I want to tell you guys too. Is like when you lead, that's truly leading with your heart. Is when you start to lead with your heart and understand that it has its own consciousness. You will start to lead with it more than your mind. Meaning, like we just talked about, if your heart were to ever doubt, it's gonna stop beating. Just like if the sun and moon were to ever doubt itself, it would stop. It would cease to exist. And we do the same thing. Our minds are the same way too, guys. When we stop, if we were to stop believing or doubting ourselves, we will no longer exist. We just are in our soul will just leave the body. One good thing about the soul is so ancient. It knows who it is. It's never not going to exist. The only thing that dies is this physical body, not our own consciousness. So also wanted to tell you guys that was not on my show notes either. So I've been talking for 2 hours. Let's wrap things up. So let's just review it real quick, guys. The wrap up. Nada, sound. Sound created and sustains the universe. Sound penetrates through all planes of existence, the physical, the mental, the ethereal, portals, dimensions, realms. Like I said, you can hear sound and use sound on the other side as a frequency. We learned that the heart has emotional intelligence, like I said. Um, a steady beat protects the body. That's another thing I want to talk to you guys about. The way your heart beats is a reflector, it's a deflector. So you guys are living in love. You will automatically project out love, and anything that's gonna come within that space, it's gonna bounce back. But like I said, if you guys are living in fear, you're living in sorrow, you're living in depression, that depression that's how you break the barrier, and all those things start become filtered in. It's almost like how Earth has this heat shield, or where things can get and come in, and something's never, it just bounces off the atmosphere. Our heart functions the same way. Whatever energy we are feeling can come in, or it can just get bounced back out into the outside world. That was not on my show notes either. And then also, guys, the heart does communicate directly with the brain. This is something that's fairly new in scientific research, but we are finding out that there are more neural connections between the heart and the brain than we can count. It's a lot going on between the left side of our bodies up to our brain. We learned that the Awakening, the movie, uh, began my search on research of sound, inspired it, and through that movie, we found out that music is a healing tone. and music is more powerful to heal the human body than any drug could ever do. We learned that brain waves carry different frequencies. It carries a different emotion and different intelligence. The reason why sound is so important to all of us. And then we learned that our body is a major transmitter and emitter of energy or frequency consciousness. We learned that Mariah Carey is a modern day genius. She tunes most of her music at 432. The reason why it's so healing and people still like Mariah Carey and her music in general. A lot of her body of work is very great. And then we learned how and why today's popular music is different. We learned that 440 is out of sync with our bodies. We learned that today's music can keep us under a toxic spell of emotions when played repeatedly. We learned that the mind downloads, records, manufactures, replays these frequencies right back to us, and then we start emitting and believing and projecting out these new waves of vibration, these new waves of consciousness out of us, if we allow this new age music to do that. And then we also learned that inception is a subtle art. They do it through an attractive looking artist. They do it through visuals. They also do it through the content of the music. And they do it through the musical tones that are behind the artist's voice. And they've learned how to effectively project that to the collective consciousness. And like I said, they've done it in such a subtly sexy way that, like I said, we're so focused on how that artist looks and sounds that we're no longer sensing what's really going on. But like I said, guys, hopefully after this episode, you will start to really understand the true power of the music industry and the collective consciousness. And my question to you guys today is, what will you do after this episode? What will you choose to do after this episode? Are you still going to go about your life and still listen to all this music? Or will you re-examine yourselves and you start to re-examine the music you listen to? You start to re-examine your thoughts and emotions and, try to find the inception of where they came from. And then also, guys, like I said, try to evolve yourselves out of it so you can start to become a light star traveler. You can start to be who you really are and evolve out of being this small human being who just wants to have sex all day, eat all day, get drunk all day, feeding off of life's physical pleasures. Those are great things to do, but it's not who we really are, guys. We are here to learn lessons. We're here to break bonds. We're here to experience life, experience the good, the bad, and the ugly. This is a part of the human experience. This is what we signed up for. If you guys never heard that before, of soul contracts. That's another thing that I learned about. So, like I said, guys, nothing is by chance. It's a cause and effect for everything. Hopefully the takeaway, like I said, guys, can start the self-inquiry and you guys can start evolving and vibrating higher, higher, and higher. I've talked enough. Can't believe I went on for 2 hours and 13 minutes or so. So once again, guys, sound is crucial. Nada, noise, a sound in Sanskrit. This was episode 19 of the Divine Lux Soul podcast. I'll probably come back in 2 weeks. I think 2 weeks is like normally like my time. So I won't overstretch myself trying to put content out every week. But once again, guys, if you liked what I said, give it a thumbs up, subscribe. I have more things coming along. Let's see what's coming up. There is a solar eclipse coming up, I believe, this weekend. So that's another cosmic shift for you guys to another wave of energy for us to all channel. as we go about this weekend. Enjoy spring, guys. Was finally here. Let's see what else can I talk about. Like I said, I'll come back with more content in about a couple of weeks. And thanks for tuning in, guys, to the Divine Lux Soul podcast. Uh, as always, here, stay curious about yourselves. Be curious about everyone and everything, and keep having the wonderful, amazing lives, guys. Do some epic things, and I will talk to you guys again on the Divine Lux Soul podcast. This concludes episode 19 of Nada. Thank you. Namaste. Thank you for listening to me, guys, and have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful life. Thank you.